Now, yesterday, the government approved plans to introduce statutory pregnancy loss leave for women who experience a miscarriage before 23 weeks.
Joining us to discuss that and more is Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, Peter Burke. Minister, thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
So what exactly does this new legislation mean for employees and for employers?
So we're bringing forward a bill through the Oireachtas to give a statutory bereavement right for paid leave for women who experience pregnancy loss prior to 23 weeks gestation. And what that means is that, first of all, we want to open the conversation, which is very important. We had a huge comprehensive piece of work that was done in the last government, which really pointed out that a huge amount of women suffer in silence. They go back to work, they don't get to discuss it properly, they don't get the opportunity to grieve properly, and this will be a support for them to ensure that, number one, we get the conversation started and that penetrates through the workplace. But secondly, there's going to be a support to help them grieve at a very difficult and traumatic time in their lives.
Yeah, and the statute, it's a leave of 5 days, is it?
It is. So
now, it was introduced in
days.
Northern Ireland and they were giving 2 weeks. How did you come up with the figure of the 5 days?
Yeah, so we've gone for 5 days and we've increased the rate, so we're giving significantly more than Northern Ireland. But secondly, we have in our jurisdiction 2 weeks, sick leave, and then you can graduate onto illness benefit. So essentially, if the week isn't enough, you have sick leave subsequent to that, because this is a standalone additional bereavement leave. So there will be a significant safety net for further time if it is needed. But I think this is a strong statement to say, you know, we are compassionate. As a nation, we have a huge amount more to do in this regard, because, you know, when 1 in 4 pregnancies end in pregnancy loss, it really shows the huge amount we have to do here. And one thing I was really struck by, that when I was at the Shannon for a private members debate, which is a motion asking us cross-party to take this action, I was so struck by the testimony of so many women who brought their real-life experiences to the floor of Leinster House, and it was absolutely eye-opening and very emotional to hear their testimony, and it really means that we have to talk so much more about this issue.
And at the moment there's nothing going through in the legislation to recognise partners of people who have gone through pregnancy loss before 23 weeks or indeed after. But you know, I have to ask you about employers. Some employers can extend that. It's up to their own discretion as to whether they want to give more than 5 days. But have you had any pushback from employers as relation to this because of national minimum living wages, the minimum wage, sick leave, everything that's there? There's been a lot of talk from employers saying they can't afford this. Yeah,
I know costs are a big challenge, but I think this is much more than costs. This is real life experiences that we have to be more compassionate, and we have to ensure that the safeguards for workers are more robust. And we are improving every step of the way on that journey. And critically, from working with employer groups, and we have a journey to go through the Oireachtas with the legislation, I don't expect to hear any pushback. And I haven't, to be fair, because, you know, really, I think we really need to encourage people to talk about this, to really work together and ensure that we can have a compassionate response in the workforce. And I would really acknowledge, and this has to be acknowledged, that, you know, so many employers give leave anyway. And it's kind of unspoken of, and it happens as the normal course. But I think as a society and as a government, we have to make a statement that this is essentially very important for us now, and we'll get the conversation going. And who knows, in the future, you can have enhancements to it, because obviously you have to bring in a statutory right in the first place. And we're very much to the forefront in doing that.
And when do you see it coming into effect?
Hopefully this year. I almost have to think, what month is it? It has to go through the Oireachtas. So at the moment, we have a general scheme completed. The next step is to draft a bill from the general scheme, and then that will go through the Oireachtas. So you'll have pre-legislative scrutiny, you'll have testimony on it, but it shouldn't take too long. We should have it through this year.
You are the Minister for Employment, of course, and an awful lot of talk since that report from the Irish Times quite a few weeks ago now about Aughinish Alumina, and where the aluminium from that plant in Aughinish, County Limerick is going to. We know it's owned by a Russian oligarch, and it's been found that it's being used in the Russian war machine. There are over 500 people kind of directly employed there, 1,000 people then when you take out indirect employment. It's been brought to the fore when we started our EU presidency with President Vladimir Zelensky saying, what are you doing here, lads? Should we not have been thinking, we know who's owned this plant for a very long time. What is going to happen with Aughinish Alumina?
So currently we're doing an investigation on it. And when you say it's been found to have gotten into the Russian military complex, that hasn't been proven as yet. So we have to get the evidence to prove that. And the reality is that we have an area in my department that is a competent authority under EU rules to
I wonder those investigations, an awful lot of people, they have said this is where it's shipping to, this is where it's going.
But those people that have done that investigation those group of journalists said that they have no hard evidence that it's going into the Russian military complex. They're looking at the trade flows that have increased into Russia. But
it is going to Russia.
Subsequently, from 40% of it was going to Russia.
Yeah.
It was alleged that 80% was going. Subsequently, the company had transpired with the CEO and the revenue commissioners that incorrect data was populated to the competent authority. They're going to be revised this week, so we'll get the real figures this week. They have to be vouched to shipping companies, etc. But critically, there's an independent investigation underway in my department to ascertain the truth around this. And obviously that will report to me quite quickly now. And that will ascertain what direction the European Commission should go. So that report will be shared with the European Commission. And they have policy responsibility because, Ireland doesn't use any of this alumina. It is all exported and Europe is the main user of it.
Yeah.
So it's a critical raw material. It's very significant in terms of a lot of the, the work that Europe does, be it medical devices, the food sector, so many areas alumina is critical for as it is transformed into aluminium. So it's a decision that has to be made at EU level. But critically, I've been very firm on this, that Ireland would not countenance that if any of the product was going into the Russian military complex. That would be totally unacceptable because we've been to the forefront of supporting Ukraine and we've supported all the sanction packages, been very robust in supporting so many families who our society really welcomed over the last number of years.
So you're saying if it is proven, it has to go to EU level to make the next step.
Absolutely.
But do you see the plan? Do you see these jobs being saved as a result of the fact that there is such a demand for alumina?
No one can ever say, and I always say this, like for every private company that's in operation in the state, I can't guarantee anyone's future in a private company. It's different if you're working for the state. So essentially what will happen here is the investigation will go to the European Commission. We will obviously work with the Commission, but critically, we've always provided support for workers when essentially difficult days appear.
Is there a plan in place if it does happen?
We're not expecting anything to happen as yet, just to be clear. And obviously the government always stands ready if events like this happen. We've had very traumatic events with loss of employment in this state, and the government is always ready. It's an ongoing process, so we're always standing ready with our training partners, top skilled workers, with our welfare supports, and working to share the skill sets of workers with our enterprise agencies, which is so important as well, to get them other employment. But this is not in this case at the moment, so I don't want to...
We're not trying to stir anything here.
Exactly, we have to be careful because there's 1,000 families potentially watching this who are working there, and we have an independent investigation underway, and essentially we can't prejudice that process, so we have to let that run its course.
Now, inside here, they think that I'm obsessed with data centres.
Mirren is obsessed with data centres.
And what goes on, because you're
seeing... A big supporter of it.
We're seeing growing people power around the world at these growing entities that don't supply a huge amount of jobs, in kind of saying, no, we don't want them in our area because of the environmental impacts they have, the societal impacts that they have. And we know that we have quite a few data centres in Ireland, and we're over 25 degrees at the minute, and that's when they start using water to cool. And we've got a hosepipe ban coming in 6 counties tomorrow. We don't know what else is going to go on there. We're in bed with big tech. What do you think is the future of data centres in the country?
Well, just to be accurate, I brought forward a comprehensive piece of research by the government through KPMG on data centre activity in our economy. And first of all, it's shown that they are the spine of the internet. They drive the digital economy, which is so important for jobs. They are about...
For jobs now, what if they start taking all of those jobs? Like, genuinely, this is what they keep on telling us.
But if we go back to the facts, so in terms of water, less than 0.25% of our national water usage goes to data centres. And critically, of that now, the majority of data centres are closed-loop cooling systems. So they're not using additional water, they're recycling water. They're heated by or cooled by air in the majority of cases, and essentially that's the future. But we have to be very clear, if we want to drive our renewables offshore, who's going to finance that, and who are going to be the large energy users to buy that energy? We can't be relying on foreign markets to take our energy because we should have our own industry at home that we can essentially book that value for our citizens. So the key thing is that data centres right now support a huge amount of jobs in our economy. They provide over 800 billion in added value activity, which is very significant, over the last number of years.
800 billion?
Yes, a huge amount over the last number of years, let's say, since they came to Ireland.
But do you worry about all these tech bosses saying, "Oh well, we're going to replace our employee because of AI," and that comes from
I see AI is going to be a period of transition for the Irish workforce, but it's not going to be a period of decline. I believe that there's a lot of opportunity through artificial intelligence. The train has left the station. It's not a choice that we can turn away from AI. Yeah. We have to lean into it because the IMF is very clear. We've established tech sector. We have the skill set to meet the challenge, and critically, which is very exciting for Ireland, of the 196 high performance startups last year, half them were grounded in AI. So there's a lot of opportunity here. It's about what do you do now? You train people quickly to make their jobs sticky and take advantage of the new opportunities that will be there. If you take, for example, the IDA, we set about a challenge to train 40,000 people in the 5-year plan. In the first year now, we've hit 33,000. And that's where we need to be. Looking at the jobs that are vulnerable, we know where they are. In financial services, consultancy. Yeah. Get in early, train those people and ensure that they get an opportunity to grasp the opportunities in the future.
What do you make AI going to be good for us all? 0896 111 111. Minister for Enterprise, Tourism and Employment, Peter Burke. Before we let you go, England are playing Argentina tonight. Who are you going for?
Oh my God, we have to go for our near neighbours, England.
Oh,
there we go.
He's laid it down.
We are going to be talking about that in a couple of minutes.
We've got links in Westmeath to Argentina. We're having a SADA on next Saturday weekend in Abbeyshrew, if anyone wants to come.
Oh, there you go. Is something there? Is it coming home?
It's difficult to know. Although it's a big opportunity, but you won't know what's going to happen.
Peter Burke.
Pity we're not in it.
Yeah. Oh well, there we go.
Oh, what a politician, Peter Burke. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really do appreciate it.